Hi, I'm Pierce.
And I'm Grace.
And this is Adjusting to the Curve.
Perfect timing. Oh, it's great. So, Erin, could you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Erin Baldwin. I am the Diversity and Inclusion Representative for the LSG Executive Board. I also do a lot of other things on campus too, but
She's kind of a big deal.
big deal, huge deal.
Okay. And Herb, could you tell about yourself?
sorry.
Yeah, my name is Herb Caldwell, and my title is the Chief of Compliance and Engagement.
Chief.
Yeah, the Chief. I've been here at Logan since 2017, and so compliance, Title IX, risk, and safety and security are some of my areas of responsibility, along with diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay. So, we're glad we have both of you on the show today just because we're trying to get students to understand, and even staff, faculty, just understand what diversity means. So my first question to you is, what does diversity mean to you? What does it mean in the aspect of school, a chiropractic school? And Herb, I'll ask you first.
Yeah. So, in simple, I just tend to like to describe or even define diversity as differences, right? And one of the things I like about, in terms of thinking about differences, it's not about putting a value on those differences. It's just acknowledging that there are these differences in regards how it relates to a chiropractic school, and this probably goes from my experiences of being in higher education at other places. Not only do you want to have excellence in what you do, but you want to be innovative, and so when you have different ideas, different perspectives, that's going to produce better, well-rounded chiropractors. So I think diversity is critically important to not only the field of chiropractic, but to our educational program here.
That's great.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
And then how can you kind of do that in school or just in this profession? Do you have any tips for that?
So I think if you're talking about kind of improving diversity, you have to be thoughtful and strategic about it, and you have to be intentional about it. So you have to see where are we not diverse? Where is everything kind of the same? Is it along gender lines? Is it along racial lines? Is it along SES lines? And then be intentional and know that you can find talent in nearly everywhere you look, right? Our population our society is becoming more diverse. So do we have representation in our students, in our professional staff, and our faculty? And so when when you're looking at those ways and strategically going after them, putting resources towards reaching that end, I think that's how you can start moving the needle in those areas.
I definitely agree. And I know Erin's a big part of Logan United.
Yes.
So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. In Logan United, we focus more on cultural competency and teaching how to be a better physician as far as like recognizing cultural barriers and how to overcome those. So I think that for me, diversity is about growth and prosperity of institutions and also us as individuals. There's no way for us to continue to grow if we always have the same outlook on things. We need more of a broad and perspective of what it truly means to be a chiropractic physician.
Yeah,
So
I definitely agree.
That's great.
And then how big of a role do you think diversity plays just in faculty and staff? I guess mainly in the school.
yeah.
So I think it plays a big role. For me, this is my 6th institution in over 25 years in higher ed. Okay, that's when you guys are all supposed to gasp and say, "Herb, you thought you were only
that's crazy.
24. You thought you were only 24 years old. How can you work for
I thought you were
25
20. I ain't gonna lie.
years?" But faculty really are critically important because they're looked to as the experts when it comes to the academic experience. Right, and so if you're teaching the same thing the same way in a field that's ever changing, we're losing. And so in terms of being innovative and helping, and again, preparing our students, because the mission is going to always be important to me. The values of an institution is always going to be important to me. So if you look at Logan's mission statement, it talks about being a diverse and engaging institution. We list diversity as one of our 7 core values, right? So we certainly want to see that reflected in all areas of our institution. It's a problem if diversity only lies with your diversity officer and your diversity office. It has to be ingrained into the very fabric of the culture. When I say culture, it's the way a group of people do things, right? So at Logan, we want our culture to be known as being inclusive, regardless of the layers of identity that you bring to the table. But again, you got to be strategic and intentional about that. So just like we need staff and students, we need our faculty to be intentional about their teaching methods, right? Making sure that our students are feeling included, right, and not excluded because of whatever. And regardless of how you show up and you come, you should have the same opportunities to succeed here at Logan. And that's the equity piece that's also very important to me. Differences without fairness is a problem. So, we'll say that for another show.
Yeah, we can say it for another time. But Erin, I want to ask you that same question in a minute. But like just to piggyback what you were saying, like I think it was either you or I was talking to Misty kind of about like diversity. And I never thought about diversity in the fact of faculty or staff because I'm thinking, well, they're just teachers. They're just trying to get us to understand or help us get to the college. Not like, well, if I see someone that looks like me, if I see a black, or if I'm Hispanic, I see a Hispanic professor, Hispanic financial aid lady or something like that, that would help me think, oh, well, if they're here and they're in a professional spot, maybe I should come here. I can go and talk to them about what's going on in my life. And I've never thought about it that way. I just think, well, we need diverse students. That makes sense, not faculty or staff. I didn't think it goes that far.
Representation is highly important in like literally any administrative role, because whenever you have people up high making these decisions for the grand student body, you want representation from all walks of life. You don't want the same people that look the same, that come from similar backgrounds and similar experiences, to be making like grand decisions for all of these people that don't necessarily have the same experiences as they do. So having that representation and having people understand that, you know, people come from diverse backgrounds is important, again, with growth and prosperity of an institution.
Yeah.
And an ever-changing environment.
If I could share a story to it jarred me. So a few years ago, a student came to my office, and they came from an identity group that you would not consider the majority, as do I. Our identity group is not the same, but they came in and asked could they speak with me. As they were speaking to me, tears just began rolling down their face, and they began to share some things. And they said, I never could do this outside your office, but I figured that I could do this with you. Because when they saw me on campus, they wasn't even sure of my complete role, but they saw me as you mentioned, someone who has some influence and ability to make some decisions. Right. And so that representation, they saw that as a safe place where they could decompress, get themselves together, eat some chocolate, wipe their tears, and then go back out and face the world.
Exactly.
So that representation certainly matters. One thing I like to say often is, as a former college athlete, if you put me in a room, I'm going to always go to the table with all the basketball players first. That's what I'm most comfortable with.
That's very comfortable, yeah.
But eventually you want to get to a place where you're sitting with all the athletes, right? It could be a golfer, a football player, a pickleball player, a swimmer. So, and that's what we all are. Yes, we need to see that representation, but ultimately we all have the same fairness towards opportunities.
Yeah.
Right, I definitely agree. And I think that plays a big role in just not only faculty, but also just people you see in the hallway. Just making sure you're a happy person and including everybody. I mean, that's really what it's all about. Make the world a better place.
Yeah, exactly.
I approve that message.
Exactly.
And then, Erin, last question. If you could change one thing about the Logan community, what would that be?
I'm going to be very for real for a second, because that's like the reason I'm here. Mm-hmm. For me personally, this is a very like kind of selfish thing that I would change, but for me and future trans students, feeling safer as a trans student on campus. Mm-hmm. I feel that there are often times where I'm in class and things are said because I'm hyper aware of verbiage and word choice that aren't necessarily correct, and it could be something as simple as the difference between sex and gender. Like if we're talking about a medical condition, the prevalence of a medical condition, we should be using words like female and man versus man and woman. So I think that just feeling safe in a classroom setting would be something that I would change. And I feel that honestly it's a disservice to our faculty if we're not actively teaching them the correct verbiage and word choice use. Because if we do that and they continue to do that, then that's a problem with them. But if we aren't offering them the education and the competency to be culturally competent, then we are doing kind of a disservice to them. So that's why we started Safe Zone training. I have been in a partnership with Herb for about a year now, getting that on the ground and rolling. So yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay. Great.
I think a big thing with that is, like, I know you've done a lot of presentations for just the leaders and the organizations and things like that, and I think that that's a great start to just getting those things out there and kind of getting everybody to talk about it. So I think that that's a great aspect to all of it. What about you, Herb?
So, what's the question again?
If you had
Well,
one thing to change.
one thing that to change, so I can say, and even to the issue that Erin just addressed, and we're spot on, right? Again, every student, I mean, safety is a basic need,
Yeah.
right? And whether you're talking about physical safety or mental, emotional safety, it's we have to have it, right? And change, especially when you're talking about systems where there's any type of discrimination or isms there, it takes time. So if I could, and there's been some progress up there since 2017. There's definitely been progress here in how we've been moving. I think some of the progress has been a little slower than I would have liked. So if I could speed up some of the change, but I got to tell you, we have some pretty good people who are on board and who are open to having some changes. And if we can just kind of help continue to build that a little more expeditiously into who we are as Logan. Logan's a great place. It has great bones. Perfect. I've never been to a perfect place. But we have to, again, be intentional. We have to, another one of our values is student first. So even sitting right here, when I hear a student say this, and again, Erin and I have a good relationship, so I know this and there's things we're working on, it still bothers me, right? So we have to, continue to be intentional and strategic about doing everything we can for all of Logan.
Right.
Yeah. And honestly, it does start with education. And I feel that, I've said it before, but I feel like that is something that we have missed in our curriculum somewhere. And I wish that I hope that we can rework it to be more inclusive and to be more forward-thinking.
Yeah, for sure.
As a
Well, we were
professional.
actually talking to Misty the other day just about change, and I know you're a big part, both of you are a big part of the change, and things need to change. Like,
Right.
the world is evolving, and generations are evolving, and change is a really big thing. Like, you can't advance if you don't have change.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so we'll have the change.
We'll have to change. So thank you guys both for coming to the
Yes,
to the
thank
first
you.
episode. So we'll clap it up for that.
Hey.
And make sure you guys continue to watch the videos. We'll be back with more change, more great things that go on campus, and I hope to see you guys next time. This is Adjusting the Curves.
Bye.